At Dot and Company, we believe that all agencies deserve amazing account managers and that all of those account managers deserve to be supported, encouraged, and loved on. That's why we started CAM Community, a membership only for account managers. And inside, you'll gain access to the exact training we use to train our own client facing account managers, but also access to all of our SOPs, processes, and live trainings on a variety of topics. If you're an account manager, this is the place you've been waiting for. Learn more at dotandcompany.co/CAM community.
I think having the right people is really vital. And whether that's, an outsourced service that's managing your account management, or it's your bookkeeper, or you've got that go-to design person, like working with the right people and having the right people in the right seats that allows things to just gel really well. I think that's the key.
Welcome to the Happy Clients Podcast, brought to you by Dot and Company. Whether you're a virtual assistant, an agency owner, or a client-facing account manager, we all deal with clients. Lucky for you, client management is what we do best. Now, let's dig in, chat cam life, and have some fun along the way. Cheers to happy clients.
Well, I'm super excited to have you, Steve, on the podcast. I've been following you on LinkedIn for a while and seeing your name everywhere. So
Likewise,
I was super excited to invite you in to share all of your insights with agency owners who might be listening, because I think, like I was saying offline, it's a lonely world out there as an agency owner. We often are working on our own little island. So I wanted to bring you in and show how you can support our community. So thanks for coming on the podcast.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Amazing. Well, why don't you give us a quick intro? I know you have a really cool background. Give our audience an intro of how you landed here.
Sure. So I've been in the agency space for 25 years. Actually, right out of school, I was in-house at Panasonic doing a lot of brand work, and that evolved into working for a number of small agencies, where I was kind of testing the waters of where do I want to really spend my life, big agency, small agency, corporate. I learned quickly, me and corporate don't vibe very well. Like I would get in trouble for trying to work with different departments and going above my boss's head because the cool work was in this department, or, that kind of thing. Ultimately, I ended up launching my own agency in New Jersey, and building it up over the course of 10 years, and then selling it to a traditional PR firm. I spent 5 years with them after the sale. Then I left there thinking I was going to go corporate for the second half of my career, and realized, again, me and corporate don't vibe. I don't know what I was thinking. But also the job that I got, I was promised all the autonomy over the brand, the market, the message, the events, top of funnel. And it was extremely toxically is the word, micromanaged company by the CEO. It was really, really vile. And so I left there. And at this point, we were 8 months into COVID, 5 months into COVID. And so I got to just kind of spend some time in the garden and like reground myself and figure out what's next. And the universe literally pulled me into coaching, but it started with consulting, working with agencies that needed some project work. And that evolved into, hey, you could do some coaching work. And so started leaning into what would my process look like, and what are the things that I found important to me when I was coached as an agency owner. And you mentioned agency owners being on an island, and that's either because they're virtual and they're working from home with their cats or dogs or whatever, or even if they're in an office with a bunch of people, their employees don't have an identification with the things that they're faced with on a day-to-day. And so I was able to bring empathy into it and understand that I've been there, and I know what they're facing, and I know some of the traps that they're undergoing on a day-to-day basis. And it's evolved, and fast forward 4 years later, I've gotten to work with about 50 different agencies, ranging from 0 to 75 or so headcount. And we do a lot of one-on-one coaching, and I run a number of mastermind groups of agency owners.
I love it. It's like I said, there's such a need in our world for the support, the shoulder to lean on in our world, because it is lonely. So what are some of the things that you find agency owners are struggling with when it comes to maybe their mindset, their mental models of taking their business to the next level? What are some of the things that are getting in their way?
Most of it is they're probably accidental business owners. Like I'm good at running ads, or I'm really good at design, or I love Figma, so let me jump into web design, and suddenly I've got a business. And so the whole fundamental part of running a business, understanding how to read a P&L, understanding what cash flow means, what is a pipeline, how much money should I have in the bank as a reserve? Oh, I should have any money in the bank as a reserve. Like those big picture, like strategic business things are huge. But from a mindset standpoint, it's how do I position myself? Who do I target? How do I get new clients? Things have been good because I get referrals from my neighbors, or the other dads on the soccer team send me, like, things like that. So how do I operationalize business development and running a business? Also from a mindset is, at some point it's starting to delegate things because I can't do everything as a business owner, and relinquishing control and understanding that a lot of times an agency owner's expectations or standards of work is far beyond what a client needs or expects, because what do we say? Perfection is the enemy of done, right? And so understanding that, all right, this is good enough, which means it's 95% in my brain, but it's 100% in the client's brain, letting that go. But yeah, mindset is a big deal as far as what can I delegate? What do I want to keep on my plate? Who can I delegate to? Um, Things like that. I also
Mhm.
think one of the big
And-
things that I dig into with agency owners, as far as mindset goes, is I'm a big fan of goal setting. I really believe in visualizing goals. But when I start working with an agency owner, a lot of times when I ask them what their goals are, they say, I want to have a 7-figure agency. And I say, why? And they say, so I can get into such and such organization. I say, well, that's not really your goal. That's very arbitrary. It's a random number. It doesn't mean anything to you or your family or your team members. Why don't we realign those copycat goals to something that really means something to you and your team? And it doesn't need to be revenue. It doesn't need to be headcount. Maybe it's the kind of clients that you're working with. Maybe it's how many hours you're working. I just shared this example recently. I work with an agency in Colorado and another one in California, and they have modified their agency structure so that, when the snow is good in Colorado or the surf is good in California, they're able to cut out and go enjoy the things that they are passionate about. That was a goal of
Mm.
theirs, not 7 figures, not 23 people, like whatever those arbitrary numbers are. But that's a mindset thing, is that we see videos from, and I love him, but we see videos from Gary Vee or, Hermosi or any of these guys. And it's like, if you're not driving a Lamborghini, or if you're not 7 figures or 8 figures or 300K a month or MRR, you're not winning. And it's like, that's not a reality. That's toxic mindset. So I believe
Mhm.
in, like, personalizing those goals. And that's a really long-winded answer. So there you go.
No, that's honestly so needed. And I agree, because oftentimes we fall into this, especially in our industry, right? It's good is never good enough.
Hmm.
The next mountain always needs to be climbed. You
Yeah.
cannot slow down. You cannot pause. You cannot be happy with where you are. You have to always be striving to the next thing. And it's important to have somebody like you in your corner who's checking you, right? It's
Yeah.
like, that's not what your goal was. You hit your goal of working 15 hours a week and spending time with your family and da da da. Why are you scaling your business? Like,
Yeah.
making sure that you're on the right path. And maybe as you evolve, it does make sense to grow and to keep striving for the next thing. But oftentimes we just need that gut check, which is so cool
Yeah.
that you can provide people, that shoulder to lean on, which is cool. When you're coaching people kind of on maybe this 0 to, I don't know, 50K a month, then 50K a month plus, what are some of the changes that you, I guess, prescribe when it comes to taking it to that next step?
I'll start by saying there's two things that come to mind, but I'll probably add more. The first is, and like I said before, delegation. So when you're at 5K a month, I can do everything myself. Maybe I'm working 12-hour days, and maybe I'm not seeing my family or having dinner with my wife or whatever that thing is, right? As it grows, I can't do everything myself. And so I've got to bring people in. And then this leads to the second thing, is I need to operationalize things and /systematize things. And so The only way to maintain profitability and get things done smoothly is by having systems and knowing that when we onboard a client, here's how we do it. Even if it's only me and one person or me and two people, starting with those scalable systems and operationalizing how we do things allows for the growth, or like you previously said, allows for me to say, I don't want to grow because we're humming along and we're maintaining 30K a month with two or three people and we're really profitable and we can cut out on Fridays and do the thing that we love doing. But scaling can't happen unless there's systems in place that can grow as the team grows. Can you just plug a person in and say, go do our digital marketing for our client and drop in the right person in the right seat? Or do they need to sit with somebody for 3 weeks straight to shadow them in order to learn it? Like, what a waste of time and money. If somebody wants to scale, wants to grow, has the runway to grow, they need to have systems, people, and the ability to delegate and let go and know that one owner can't do everything.
And so a lot of people talk about systems and then hiring. What do you recommend? Hire the person and then build the systems, or build the systems and then hire the person?
Oh man, that's tough. I guess the answer is it depends, right? If I'm, as the owner, doing the thing that's making me money and I've figured out a way to do it, let me turn that into a system and document it, document everything. And it can just be in a Google Doc. It doesn't need to be in a Notion template. Like, sure, Notion is awesome. ClickUp is awesome. All these things, Asana, they are great. They're not the system. The system is when I do this, then this happens. And when I do this, then I need to do this. You can then build that out with dependencies and all that in one of these tools. But so if I'm the guy doing the thing, build the system. If I'm doing a thing and I can't do it all, then I need to bring somebody in that maybe they can help me build the system. So I think they're very much interdependent. I don't know which is the horse and which is the carriage in that situation, though.
Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. And I think a lot of agency owners, especially that we chat with, they get hung up on the, I have to have I'm just going to get my house in order, and, I'm going to get all my systems documented, and then I'm going to hire somebody to manage my clients or do my bookkeeping or be an executive assistant. Like, they think that they have to have everything so organized and tightened up, but it's
Yep.
like, where is the point on the graph that you're losing momentum because you're not making that higher? So I agree. It's like either you already have it built and you hire somebody, or you hire somebody and you build it as you're going, because you'll never get out of your own way.
Well, a lot of that, what you just said, is also their procrastination excuses. When I get here, that's when I'm going to do that thing. When I launch my new website, that's when I'm going to start marketing. Well, it's going to take you 2 years to launch your website. By then, you're not going to be marketing. So start now and stop making excuses, and just you get it done. So a lot of that is really excuses that need to be called out on.
Yeah. I love that, because we all need somebody to call us out on our excuses, because we all have them.
Yes.
Each and every one of us. So it's important to have somebody who can call you out for things like that.
Yeah.
As you're coaching agencies to kind of take it to the next mountain, I'll call it, what are the first, second hires that you recommend they make?
Typically the first is, and I think it's shifted now because so many people are leaning into like VA services and, executive assistants and that kind of thing. But I still think that somebody that can, well, let me back up and say it depends on what the owner wants to be doing. And I think that that's got to be a huge priority. If I'm a designer and I opened an agency because I love doing design, well, then why wouldn't I maintain being able to do design and then bring somebody in that can do, maybe they do biz dev, maybe they do project management. If I'm a business minded person and I don't want to be doing design, then the designer is the first person. As a small agency, and let's say under 10 or 15 people, it's really hard for the owner not to be the face of the business and not to be the lead person doing business development. So at some point, that's the person that needs to come in and take that off the owner's plate so the owner can continue to do the thing that they love doing. They love doing copywriting. They love doing UX, whatever that thing is. The first hires should be what allows them to maintain the thing that they love doing, which is why they launched the business in the first place. Because I can't tell you how many burnouts come from, I don't get to do the thing that I love doing, and I'm working 12 hours a day writing proposals and doing project management, and I hate those things. So my guidance is typically If you want to focus on the thing you love doing, bring in the person that's going to take the things off your plate. Like we go through an actual exercise of what are the things that you can delegate? How much of a
Mm.
time chunk is that thing that you need to delegate? And is it worthy of a full-time employee, a part-time partner, a VA, or whoever that you can send it to so that you can focus on the thing that you love doing? And that doesn't mean I get to draw with
Mhm.
crayons all day. If I love being, a designer, I still have to, do the books. I still have to work with my bookkeeper. Like there's still business side things that I have to do that most of these accidental agency owners don't know how to do. So there's a lot to learn as well as we go.
Oh my gosh, I see so many situations, not even just agency owners, but like business owners who get into it because they're really good at the art and then
Yep.
they have to run a business and it's so completely different skill sets.
Yeah.
And I also see it as agency owners are scaling. It's, they're operating a small agency and that's great, but then they have to step into leadership. They have to step
Mhm.
into, this next stage where it's a totally different skill set. And if you've never done it, and you don't know how to do it, there's a huge gap, right? And that's when
Yeah.
things get a little bit messy. But
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
I guess like you work with obviously a lot of different agencies of different sizes. Is there like one tip, one trick that you've diagnosed agencies with, or like what is something that you see across the board that just works when you work with agencies?
The one thing that just works, I think having the right people is really vital. And whether that's, an outsourced service that's managing your account management, or it's your bookkeeper, or you've got that go-to design person, like working with the right people and having the right people in the right seats that allows things to just gel really well. I think that's the key. People what's the phrase? There's a phrase that says something like, people are true value, or something along those lines. I'm totally botched. It's
Mm-hmm.
probably from like a Stephen Covey book or something like that. Anyway, knowing that we've got the right people and we can lean on them, and they're dependable and they're helping things hum along, project management, etc. I think that's the one thing that's really vital. Yeah, I'll go with people.
I agree. I agree. We also talk a lot about removing the agency owner from the day-to-day seat.
Yeah.
And whether that be, like you said, stepping into business development, into sales, whether
Mm-hmm.
that be just networking, whether that be working on strategy. But where do you see the blockers, I guess, from letting an agency owner get out of the day-to-day seat?
Yeah, I think a lot of times there's a control thing there that I'll lean into most. I'll say most agency owners have a level of control that they don't know that they have. Maybe they do, but that comes from somewhere. There are coaches that'll say that it comes from childhood trauma. I don't know, if you know Kelly Campbell, but her whole thing is all about like the way that we do the things that we do is trauma-based response. And so am I controlling the way my team does what they're supposed to be trusted to do because of trauma that I experienced as a kid? Am I holding on too tight because I don't trust my team for some reason? So I really think that, it comes down to like letting go, learning to trust the people you have in place, not being in such control. And if I bring somebody in to do project management, why am I also then setting things up in
Mm.
Asana? If I bring in a bookkeeper, why am I also then, downloading the credit card statement and reconciling things? So having people do for not just for the owner, but for the agency, what needs to be done in their role that we trust them to do, that's well defined, so that I can then, as the owner, do the things that I love doing, or that, I guess only I, as the owner, can do, right? So if the owner's responsible for pipeline and biz dev, cash flow, things like that, then everything else needs to be delegated to allow the owner to do those things.
I love it. Control.
Yeah.
Oh, we all struggle with it, right? But
Yeah.
I think realizing that that's what it is, it's like, it's not that you're not a good delegator, it's that you have control issues. Let's figure out what's going on.
A lot of times we'll delegate, whatever, move that pile of wood over to there, and then somebody doesn't. It's like, no, you stacked it wrong. Well, so either we need to be more clear about what our instructions are and what our expectations are. And, Brene Brown talks a lot about like, if I need to ask somebody to do something, I also then need to ask, like, what do you need from me in order to be successful? And here's what my idea of success of this task or this job is. And so lay it all out, clear expectations, clear understanding of the needs. So then I can let you go and move the wood pile over to here and stack it how you want and how you think is the best. I trust you to do that thing that I'm asking you to do. Why am I then coming back in and micromanaging it? It's a duplication of services. It's unnecessary.
Yeah. I heard this quote the other day that was, if I need to tell you how to do every task, I can find somebody cheaper to do it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right? It's
absolutely.
like,
Although
yeah.
there's also that mindset of, oh, it's just quicker for me to do it myself than ask so-and-so to do it. And it's like, no, you need to learn. That's a toxic mindset. That's a controlling mindset. Need to learn to say,
Totally.
hey, Susan, I need you to, whatever, open up the leading on this paragraph. It would take me 2 seconds to do it. It takes me longer to type that out and ask you to do it, but it's teaching somebody to do that thing that I expect of them on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Oh, it's hard to run an agency, isn't it?
It's hard to run any
There's a
business.
lot.
Yeah, any
It is.
business, dry
Yeah.
cleaner, lawn, landscape or whatever. It's all difficult. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's resources though,
That's cool.
thankfully.
Yes. So that leads me to how you help agencies, because a big piece of feeling lonely is not having support. So how do you come in and support agency owners so that they can take it to the next level, whatever that means for them?
That last part is the most, I think that's the key part, is like whatever it means to them is what I want to help them accomplish. A lot of it is accountability. A lot of it is breaking down those copycat goals that they've got because they see their friend's agency is here, or again, they watch some TikTok video. It's like, oh, I should be 30K a month and I'm only 5K a month, you know. A lot of it is breaking down that imposter syndrome on a very regular basis because that thing will reel its ugly head daily sometimes for us. Helping them put the right systems in place, the right people in place, encouraging them that things are better than they think they are, and when to hire, how to hire, when to fire, how to fire. We dig into so many different aspects. I've distilled it down to 5 P's, and I don't think they're all mine, but somewhere along the way, I've put them into pricing, profit, process, people, and then the personal balance with the business for the owner. And that's one of the bigger ones where, again, it comes down to launch this business thinking I was going to make X amount of dollars and I was only going to work X amount of hours and we're only going to have the best logos on our website because we only work with the best brands. And then fast forward 2 or 3 years, I'm working a zillion hours. When I remember to pay myself, maybe I'm making minimum wage and I'm taking any client I can get, right? That's a song that almost every agency owner has sang, myself included. So how do we flip all those things around and find the right systems, the right people, the right pricing, the right positioning so that things can hum smoother? But really, a lot of it comes down to accountability, setting the right goals, making sure that they're measurable and attainable and realistic, and we can track them with a dashboard and all those things. And in a lot of cases, it's building a peer group so that there's 3, 4, 5, 6 agency owners that can support one another in whatever challenges they're going through.
Love it. Well, every agency owner listening should definitely go check that out. Where can we learn more about you, Steve, and how agencies can work with you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. Just look up Agency Coach. That's my name in the URL, or agencyoutSite.com.
Love it. Well, thanks so much for coming on the Happy Clients podcast. And I'm sure we'll be working together in some capacity very soon.
Taylor, I'm grateful for the time and I'm excited for the opportunities to help each other. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks.
Cheers to happy clients.